In December 2016, a man checked in to a five-star hotel in Knightsbridge. His name was Abraham Golan, a former French Foreign Legion soldier who ran a private military company out of the United States. The year before, he had been in Yemen, paid millions of dollars by the UAE to run what he has himself described as a targeted assassination program. And now he was in London, tasked with surveilling a British citizen. Anas Altikriti didn't know he was a UAE target until almost 10 years later today, when ITV News revealed it to him. Police had visited him at the time and warned him his life may be in danger, but they said they could not tell him why. Altikriti is a British academic, a former hostage negotiator, and the head of a London think tank called the Cordoba Foundation. In 2014, the UAE criminalised the Cordoba Foundation, alleging links to the Muslim Brotherhood. For years, the UAE has accused the group of threatening its political system and sought to suppress its regional influence since the Arab Spring. Founded in Cairo in 1928, the Muslim Brotherhood maintains it is a peaceful organisation wishing to participate in politics democratically, but it is considered a major threat by several autocratic governments in the region. The Home Office responded to ITV News, who broke the story, saying it does not comment on security and intelligence matters. The UAE has not responded either. But here to share his side of the story is Anas Altikriti himself. Anas, welcome. It's great to have you on the show. Now, you have only learned about this nearly 10 years after it happened. When you were shown those files, those photographs of your house, your car, what went through your mind?
Well, I've always suspected that I'm on the bad books of a regime such as the UAE, which I personally wear as a badge of honor. It's always good to be on in the bad books of rogue, authoritarian, dictatorial regimes. Whilst I've always suspected, and through being debanked dozens of times over the course of the past 12, 13 years, to actually see in black and white the correspondence, the WhatsApp messages between the team that were surveilling me, and how closely I was being monitored, and how my routes from home to work, taking my kids to school, the mosque that I frequented, where I was going to deliver a lecture, for instance. I mean, seeing it in black and white often, I have to say that it filled me with emotions that I never expected. But coming to actually think about it, and especially now that it's sort of set in, and I've had time to reflect, I think the biggest question that comes to mind is what the British authorities knew about this. I mean, all of this, to be perfectly honest, knowing what we all know about the UAE regime, we wouldn't put it past that regime to carry out this crime. I mean, this would be nothing on the scale if you were to compare it with the crimes being committed in Sudan, or in Yemen, or in Libya, or in various other countries that the UAE is sponsoring, genocides, war crimes of all sorts. However, my expectation of my own government is far better. My expectation is that my civil liberties would be protected, my freedom would be guaranteed, that I would be guaranteed safety, at least, if nothing else, to air my views, to criticize whomever I wish to criticize, whilst constantly throughout my entire life abiding by the law. I've never been questioned by the authorities. I've never been charged with any crime. I've never been questioned. So the fact that I've been law-abiding, to me at least, should guarantee me some level of safety and security by my own state. So the question that comes to mind, having known all of this, having realized all of this, is, okay, so how much did my government, did my British authorities, security apparatus know about this? And if they knew, why is it that they didn't tell me, or at least warn me, or protect me? Or if they didn't know, that in itself would be a catastrophe in its own right. but the thing is that my standing as a British citizen, I think that is what not only fills me, but should fill everyone with fear, with horror, that a rogue, dictatorial, authoritarian regime such as the United Arab Emirates could actually reach into our society and infringe upon the civil liberties and freedoms and rights of citizens as well as organizations. I mean, let's not forget that throughout all of this, my own think tank, the Cordoba Foundation, as well as numerous other organizations, British organizations, operating under British law, commercial as well as legal, have also been attacked, have also been defamed, have also been maligned by the United Arab Emirates. The question is, how can this happen? And what is the response of our government now that this has come to surface?
And I think it's important for people to understand here that it was not just surveillance, as invasive as that is in itself. At one meeting, Golan allegedly discussed the possibility of physically eliminating you. This was reported to ITV by an associate that he hired, who said that that Golan made the gesture of pulling his fingers across his throat about you. As you mentioned, you had 2 small children at this time, and police did visit you, telling you your life might be in danger, but they said that they could not tell you why. What is it like to be given that warning with no further information? And did you have any idea at the time what it could have been about?
I remember that quite vividly. I was abroad and my son called me and said the police have come by and they just asked about you. We told them that you're going to be back in a few days' time, and they said nothing. So I said, well, maybe it's just, I don't know, some routine check or something. 2 days later, he calls me back and he said they've come back and they're now a little bit more forceful about asking about your whereabouts. And this time around, they've left a telephone number. So I give them a call, and someone on the other line says that we are compelled to give you an Osman notice. And that's the very first time I've heard of this. And essentially, the police officer says that the Osman notice is something that we inform you of once we receive intelligence that your life might be in danger. So I say, okay, thank you, but what do I do now? Do I come back home? Do I move house? Do I relocate my family? What do I do? They say, we can't tell you anything. What's the source of this threat? We can't tell you anything. So basically, besides just handing me this Osman notice as though it's a box that we've ticked, nothing whatsoever. And that in itself is absurd. But that's the nature of the Osman notice as far as I can tell. But once again, I mean, the questions are, well, clearly, the British authorities, the British police knew about something happening. And if things were as grave as the ITV report indicates, then the police not telling me that there is an actual threat, there is someone who is actually plotting against my life, I think is it's just absolutely unbelievable, and I think is something that needs to be investigated.
What sense have you made of it now? Why do you think that the UAE targeted you personally?
Oh, I have no doubt. I mean, my position was always in regards with spreading democracy, freedoms, asserting civil liberties everywhere. And when the Arab Spring occurred in 2011, I was a very, very big supporter of the movements that's happened in Egypt, Tunisia, and in various other countries that followed suit. The UAE, as well as other GCC regimes particularly, found that to their disliking, found that extremely threatening to their own standing and positions. And they made that very, very clear to me in various ways and terms. One of them by withdrawing any kind of invitation that I had to visit those countries, other times by various other means, by their embassies contacting me and asking me not to visit ever again. So the fact that I'm in their bad books is of no surprise to me. But the surprise, as I said at the very beginning, is to the lengths that they're willing to go to silence me. Those reformists in the United Arab Emirates who've been now lingering in prison now for over 13 years, many of whom are people whom deserve our support, whom deserve our respect, who've sacrificed everything for the plight of freedom and democracy. And the fact that I've stood by them, the fact that I've spoken up for them in as much as I can, has angered the United Arab Emirates, and apparently they want to silence me at any particular cost. Once again, the question is, what is my government doing about this? Either they support the United Arab Emirates in its dictatorial ways, and as such, they should come forth and say so, or if they truly believe, if the government truly believes in freedom and civil liberties and human rights and the like, then they should take a different stand. The fact that the United Arab Emirates is one of our strongest allies is unbecoming of our own government, of our own society. The fact that the United Arab Emirates is such an investor in our football clubs, in our sporting events, in our celebrity shows, in our finance markets, in our banks, is something that speaks volumes of where we are as a society and where we're heading, and who is actually making the calls on behalf of our own rights, like I said, I've been debanked dozens of times. I have no doubt that this debanking was at the behest of the UAE government and regime.
So what exactly would you like to see from the British government, from your government, in response to this?
I think there needs to be a wider investigation. I mean, my story, like I said, pales in comparison to the crimes committed by the UAE regime, but it deserves an investigation on a wider level as to the influence of the UAE in UK politics internally, as well as our foreign policy. I think it's about time that our government, I'm hoping that Andy Burnham is listening to this, I'm hoping that he will have the guts to actually stand up and say, listen, hang on, we could be friends, but friends do not come without conditions. And the conditions are that you respect our freedoms, you respect our citizens, you do not infringe on the rights of our civilians to practice their lives as they deserve.
Anas Altikriti, thank you for your time.